Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamandiret Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So Friday being Ekadashi, so we'll discuss little bit about Ekadashi story. What had happened? I mean, this is what read in Puranas. Somewhere it is mentioned that in the beginning of creation, Krishna, or not Krishna, Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, he was going to all parts of his creation. Then he went to hell and he saw hellish condition and people were really suffering. They were crying, they were in pain, they were suffering over there. So he was taking a tour. So while seeing the suffering of people, Vishnu is, or Krishna or Vishnu is basically, it's so much of compassion in his heart because of Karuna. So out of Karuna, when he was becoming so compassionate on looking at everybody who was suffering, then a lady appeared, and Vishnu just turned towards him. Who are you? And the lady had appeared from his left side, from Vishnu's left side. So he asked her, "Who are you?" She said, "I'm Ekadashi. I just appeared from a compassionate mood." So then Lord Vishnu, he blessed her. He said, so Ekadashi means the 11th day of waning moon or 11th day of waxing moon. So anybody who fasts from beans and grains on that day and chants my name, he will all his sins will be wiped out and he'll develop bhakti for me. So Ekadashi was very happy and she went away. But then Yamrajji, he got worried. He said, "Oh my Lord, not this. You have made it so easy for everybody to get rid of their sins. But what will happen to my service? What will happen to my department? If nobody will come here, what will I do? What will happen to your creation of hell?" Then Lord Vishnu created one entity called Pap Purusha. And Yamrajji asked him, "Who is he?" Vishnu said, "He is Pap Purusha." And then Vishnu said, "Actually, not everybody will follow Ekadashi. So whoever eats grains on the day of Ekadashi, the Pap Purusha will enter grains that day. So he will get the sins of everybody who's following Ekadashi." So anyway, we don't observe Ekadashi for whether our sins will be wiped out or not. For devotees, that's not the reason they observe Ekadashi. Because many times, or generally every time you will see, when you see those Ekadashi stories, um, so basically those stories are from Karm Kanda text, where it is said if you follow this Ekadashi, you will get this kind of benefit. If you follow that Ekadashi, you will follow that kind of benefit. But for devotees, the purpose of following Ekadashi is to please Krishna. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was performing his pastimes, so he also told his mother Sachi Mata, because that time there was a tradition in Bengal that the widows they don't follow Ekadashi. So Mahaprabhu told his mother that Mata Sachi Mata Ekadashi dine anna khaibe, means this is a blanket rule for everybody. On the day of Ekadashi, one should not eat grains. And for devotees, we don't eat grain because it pleases Krishna, it pleases Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Ekadashi is also called Madhav Tithi. Madhav Tithi means the day Well, Madhav also represents Mukti, one who gives Mukti, but it also represents Krishna or Vishnu. So it's that these days, these 2 days of Ekadashi are very dear to Krishna, and anybody who follows, observes Ekadashi, he basically gets closer to Krishna. He gets lots of bhakti. Madhav Tithi, Bhakti Janani. So these tithis are, they arouse bhakti in our heart. But at the same time, just like one of my Muslim friends, he told me he's a preacher in his community. So he told me, like, for rosas, when my brethren, they've observed rosa, so I asked them, did you fast, or did you just starve yourself? So I learned from him. I said, this really makes sense. I said, so on Ekadashi, I can ask everybody, or we should ask ourselves. I don't have to ask anybody. Did I really fast, or did I just starve myself? In fact, on Ekadashi, we don't even starve ourselves at these days. We have so many recipes to follow, so many different varieties of food we can eat. And if you go to Radha Prabhu's house on Ekadashi, he brings wonderful prasadam from Govindas and from ISKCON temple. There's hardly any fasting. But even then, we have to ask ourselves, did I really fast today, or did I just starve myself? Means the fasting means we have to reduce our eating part that day and increase our chanting or reading or service or thinking about Krishna. In fact, the real observance of Ekadashi is we stop eating a night before. So on Dashmi day, we stop eating till on Dwadashi when we break the fast. And not just stop eating, we should stop sleeping also for 36 hours straight. Actually, the injunction is like that. And 36 hours straight, no eating, no sleeping, only chanting or reading Krishna Katha or doing Krishna Katha. So that was the way people would observe Ekadashi. But now it is Kali Yuga. It's very hard to do that kind of austerity. So Prabhupada made many relaxed rules for Ekadashi. Obviously, he said no grains, no beans. But once he saw devotees, they were just like lazing around on Ekadashi, just not going anywhere, chanting, and just sitting in the temple and chanting or doing whatever sorts of activities. So Prabhupada asked his disciples, why is nobody gone for book distribution today? Oh, Prabhupada, today is Ekadashi, so everybody is kind of fasting, so they don't have energy to go. Prabhupada said, feed them khichdi and tell them to go out and do book distribution. So we have to understand the purpose of Ekadashi. Purpose of Ekadashi is we should fast, but our services should not be hampered. So obviously now, I mean, especially for grihasthas, we don't expect them to go out and do book distribution. But the idea is not that, oh, today I'm fasting, so don't ask me to do any service, don't talk to me, don't bother me, don't because I'm fasting. No, that is not the purpose behind Ekadashi. Purpose behind Ekadashi is we should chant more rounds that day. We should do more service. We should hear more about Krishna that day, because that day is very special day. That day Krishna is really pleased by our observance of fasting on that day for his pleasure. So he can give us lots of bhakti. So that is Ekadashi. It's a very, very special day, especially for all the Vaishnavas. In fact, in India, so many people, pious people, they also observe Ekadashi. So it's a very special day. And all the devotees, all the Vaishnavas all over India, they observe Ekadashi. And even if you're not a Vaishnava, you still observe Ekadashi. Because it's a very special day. Everybody knows the purpose behind Ekadashi. So it is said anybody between 8 and 80 should follow, should observe Ekadashi. So we should try our best to observe. Of course, at the same time, just like preaching, just like going to the temple, chanting, we should not force anybody, especially in our family members. If somebody doesn't want to observe Ekadashi, and then we put pressure on him or her. No, 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 you have to do that. Otherwise, there's a fighting. And no, no, it should actually come from within that I want to observe. Then it is okay. Uh, so so please don't force anybody. And if for them you have to cook something, uh, grain, rice, or chapati or whatever, it's okay. Because they will not observe it anyway, and then there will be fight, and the devotees will get disturbed. So what's the point? So let them do whatever they want. It's okay. But at least one should. Those who are following, they should follow. They should observe. In the beginning, we used to have this that, oh, I feel sick, or I feel bad if I'm fasting, and but later on it hardly matters. Actually, it hardly matters. And really, one can cut down his eating that day. And in fact, a few years back, a scientist from Japan, he got a Nobel Prize on this thing, on because he did the research that by fasting, our the cells within the body, they readjust themselves, and then they eat up the fat of the body. And then he did the research. He said, especially on this 11th day of waxing and waning moon, there is some special special things are there, special vibrations or special radiations are there. The body really becomes more healthy if we fast on those days. So he has done research and he got the Nobel Prize for that. And here our scriptures have mentioned it for thousands of years, but people don't like to follow that. They say, oh, it's all mythology. Regardless, those who don't want to follow, let them not follow. But those who want to, those who really like it, those who really want to make progress in bhakti, they should follow Ekadashi. It's a very, very special day. Okay, so continuing with our Bhagavatam discussion. Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, 16th chapter. Parikshit Maharaj received the age of Kali. Text 19. Dharmuvacha kachid bhadre anamayam atmanaste vichayasi mlayate shanmukhena alakshe bhavatim antaradhim dure bandhum shochasi kanjanamba. Dharma in the form of a bull asked, Madam, are you not hale and hearty? Why are you covered with the shadow of grief? It appears, just a sec. It appears by your face that you have become black. Are you suffering from some internal disease, or are you thinking of some relative who is away in a distant place? Purport. The people of the world in this age of Kali are always full of anxieties. Everyone is diseased with some kind of ailment. From the very faces of the people of this age, one can find out the index of the mind. So it is said that the face is the index of mind. If the mind is disturbed, it will show up on the face. And Prabhupada is writing, in this age of Kali, everybody is full of anxieties, and it shows up on their faces. Everyone feels the absence of his relative who's away from home. The particular symptom of the age of Kali is that no family is now blessed to live together. To earn a livelihood, the father lives at a place far away from the son, or the wife lives far away from the husband, and so on. There are sufferings from internal diseases, separation from those near and dear, and anxieties for maintaining the status quo. Uh, Anshul Toshiji, please don't touch your phone. So there are sufferings from internal diseases, separation from those near and dear, and anxieties for maintaining the status quo. These are but some important factors which make the people of this age always unhappy. So this is a special gift of Kali Yuga. We are always unhappy, full of anxieties, full of, and everyone is diseased with some kind of ailment at one time or the other. Padarnyunam shochasi mekapadam atmanam va vrishler phokshimanam aho suradin hrityagya bhagan praja utsvin magvati varshati. I have lost my three legs and am now standing on one only. Are you lamenting for my state of existence? Or are you in great anxiety because henceforward the unlawful meat eaters will exploit you? Or are you in a sorry plight because the demigods are now bereft of their share of sacrificial offerings because no sacrifices are being performed at present? Or are you grieving for living beings because of their sufferings due to famine and drought? So, Bull is telling cow that I have lost my three legs and I'm now standing on one only. So, the three legs of bull are bull or dharma are, if I remember it right, mercy, truthfulness, austerity, and cleanliness. Mercy, truthfulness, austerity, cleanliness. So when we are asked to observe the four regulative principles, so meat eating, when we don't eat meat, means we are developing this quality of mercy. When we don't gamble, means we are developing the quality of truthfulness. Gambling is full cheating. And when there's a cheating, there cannot be any truthfulness. When we don't drink liquor, we are developing the quality of austerity. And we don't engage in illicit sex means we are developing cleanliness. So these are the four pillars of dharma. When they are properly cultivated, then we can make further progress. Otherwise, there is no way. So when Bull said, so three legs are gone, only the fourth, one leg is there. It is said in Kali Yuga, which is hard to believe, but this is what the scripture says. The fourth leg that is left is the leg of truthfulness. All the other three legs of cleanliness, mercy, and austerity, they're pretty much gone in Kali Yuga. But it's hard to believe that truthfulness is there because people are always cheating everybody else. So, but this is what scriptures say. We go with the scriptures. With the progress of the age of Kali, four things particularly, namely the duration of life, mercy, the power of recollection, and moral or religious principles will gradually diminish. Since dharma or the principles of religion would be lost in proportion of three out of four, the symbolic bull was standing on one leg only. When three-fourths of the population of the whole world become irreligious, the situation is converted into hell for the animals. In the age of Kali, godless civilizations will create so many so-called religious societies in which the personality of Godhead will be directly or indirectly defied. So they will not follow, they will not observe the rules of Krishna or Godhead. They'll make their own rules. And thus, faithless societies of men will make the world uninhabitable for the saner section of people. There are gradations of human beings in terms of proportionate faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first class faithful men are the Vaishnavas and the Brahmins, then the Kshatriyas, then the Vaishyas, then the Shudras, then the Malechas, the Yavans, and at last the Chandals. The degradation of the human instinct begins from the Malechas, and the Chandal state of life is the last word in human degradation. You know who is the Chandal? Chandal is the one who eat dog meat. They like to eat dog's meat. That is considered Chandal. The degradation of the human, okay. All the above terms mentioned in the Vedic literature are never meant for any particular community or birth. They are different qualifications of human beings in general. There is no question of birthright or community. One can acquire the respective qualification by one's own efforts, and thus the son of a Vaishnava can become a Malecha, or the son of a Chandal can become more than a Brahman, all in terms of their association and intimate relation with the Supreme Lord. So anybody can become Malecha or a Chandal or a Brahman or a Vaishnava. The meat eaters are generally called Malechas, but all meat eaters are not Malechas. Those who accept meat in terms of scriptural injunctions are not Malechas, but those who accept meat without restriction are called Malechas. Beef is forbidden in the scriptures, and the bulls and cows are offered special protection by the followers of the Vedas. But in this age of Kali, people will exploit the body of the bull and cow as they like, and thus they will invite sufferings of various types. So that is why there's so many sufferings, so many problems are there. Because we are eating bulls and cows, slaughtering them and eating them up. We can say, oh, I'm not eating, but if it is happening in the country, then we all have to share the karma. The people of this age will not perform any sacrifice. The Malaysia population will care very little for performances of sacrifices. All the performance of sacrifice is essential for persons who are materially engaged in sense enjoyment. That's what Bhagavad Gita says. One has to perform sacrifices. In the Bhagavad Gita, performance of sacrifices is strongly recommended. The living beings are created by the creator Brahma, and just to maintain the created living being progressively toward the path back to Godhead, the system of performing sacrifice is also created by him. The system is that living beings live on the produce of grains and vegetables, and by eating such foodstuff, they get vital power of the body in the shape of blood and semen. And from blood and semen, one living being is able to create other living beings. But the production of grains, grass, etc. becomes possible by rain, and this rain is made to shower properly by performance of recommended sacrifices. So that is why sacrifices are important. When the sun god is pleased, he properly collects water from the sea, and the sufficient clouds collect on the horizon and rains fall. After sufficient rains fall, there is sufficient production of grains from men and all animals, and thus there is energy in the living being for progressive activity. The Malechas, however, make plans to install slaughterhouses for killing bulls and cows along with other animals, thinking that they will prosper by increasing the number of factories and live on animal food without caring for performances of sacrifices and production of grains. But they must know that even for the animal, they must produce grass and vegetables. Otherwise, the animals cannot live. And to produce grass for the animals, they require sufficient rains. Therefore, they have to depend ultimately on the mercy of the demigods, like the sun god, Indra, and Chandra. And such demigods must be satisfied by performance of sacrifice. So this is the only way to get rains. But one may ask, I mean, how come in America nobody's performing sacrifices to please Chandra and Indra and sun god? So how come they're having rains and the prosperity all over? Prabhupada explained actually the founding fathers of these countries, they have done lots of austerities. They have done lots of tapasyas. So in recognition of that, the rains and other prosperity is still there. And moreover, now after Prabhupada has established the movement all over the world, now because devotees are living everywhere, so so to oblige that, nature is cooperating because Krishna is being served pretty much all over the world, and if Krishna is being served, nature has to cooperate. So even if the sons are fools and rascals, the mother will still provide because some good sons are still there. So that is the reason. The materialistic men want to work hard and enjoy fruitive results for sense enjoyment. Thus, they are committing many types of sins at every step of life. Those, however, who are consciously engaged in the devotional service of the Lord are transcendental to all varieties of sin and virtue. Their activities are free from the contamination of the three modes of material nature. For the devotees, there is no need for performance of prescribed sacrifices because the very life of a devotee is a symbol of sacrifice. But persons who are engaged in fruitive activities or sense enjoyment must perform the prescribed sacrifices because that's the only means to get free from the reaction of all sins committed by fruitive workers. So sacrifice is meant for counteracting such accumulated sins. So we all commit so many sins for our sense gratification. So to counteract that, one has to perform sacrifice. The demigods are pleased when such sacrifices are performed, just as prison officers are satisfied when the prisoners are turned into obedient subjects. But in this day and age, Prabhupada said, both devotees and fruitive workers can derive equal benefit from the performance of Sankirtan Yajna. The Sankirtan sacrifice, if one performs, everybody can benefit. So I'll stop here, see anybody's any questions or comments.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for covering
Hare Krishna.
Ekadashi. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for covering Ekadashi part as well.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Richa Mata, go ahead.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for covering Ekadashi.
And
You're
next
welcome,
time,
Manta.
I want to ask one thing that I have read somewhere that do we need to do Udyapan for Ekadashi as well if we are doing fasting?
You mean Paran? When to break the fast?
No. If we are doing till 1 year, where we have completed 24 fast for Ekadashi, so do we need to do some Udyapan? Because I read somewhere in internet. So that is why I
No,
asked.
no, no. That is for Karm Kanda people. We don't do Ekadashi as a Karm Kanda. Karm Kanda means expecting some material benefits. So we don't
Okay.
do for that. We do it for pleasure of Krishna. And
Okay.
also, many times you will see ISKCON is observing Ekadashi on one day, and many other people are observing on other days.
Yes.
That is because we follow Vaishnav calendar, and in Vaishnav calendar, if even if 1 minute of Dashmi Tithi is there in Ekadashi, we don't follow that. We follow the next day. Why? Because if we fast on Dashmi, then the results they go to demons, asuras. And if we happen to fast on pure Ekadashi or Ekadashi mixed with Dwadashi, then the strength of demigods increase.
Okay,
So we
okay.
want to increase the strength of suras, devas. So that's why follow a Vaishnav calendar and you'll be fine. And one should break the fast next day on the Dwadashi. There is some time always given, so we should break in between that.
Okay,
Otherwise,
Prabhu.
we'll lose the benefit of following Ekadashi.
Okay.
But Mataji, you can feed
Okay,
us,
Mata.
Mataji, on as Udyapan, you can feed us. So we'll start counting from this Ekadashi only.
Okay, okay.
I'll eagerly wait in the office, Mataji.
No arguments there.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Prabhuji, I heard another thing. कि एकादशी रखने वालों की ना उम्र बहुत लंबी हो जाती है. Is it true? I don't know. Because I've seen, you go to temple, there's so many old ladies, बहुत ही old ladies you met, and they keep fasting the Ekadashi throughout from pata nahi, so when they were 5 years old or they were 6 years old, and they said throughout my तब हमने एकादशी कभी छोड़ा नहीं है. So I said,
Well, I don't know about that, but well, you get special mercy of Krishna if you follow Ekadashi.
मर्सी कहीं long life तो नहीं हो जाती.
It's up to Krishna, whatever he
It's up to
wants.
Krishna. Because I heard about it. किसी ने मुझे बोला don't keep the
I-
Ekadashi because then you will have a very very long life, and I said that's
So, a long life of chanting and reading, what's wrong with that?
if it अगर वो बीमारी में निकलेगी तो then you don't want. Nobody wants.
Well, because we
Yeah, yeah.
observe for pleasure of Krishna, so that is a different aim altogether. So it's okay.
Okay.
Prabhuji, you mentioned about this Nobel Prize. Now, Prabhuji, you mentioned about this Nobel Prize wherein health also improves.
Uh-huh.
So I think with age,
Yeah.
health will also, because of this health, I think what Mataji said, I think it correlates to what you explained, Prabhuji. Because of health, I are living longer.
But if you eat
I don't.
fried aloo and this or that on Ekadashi, then what
Like
health?
me. Like me.
See, no problem with the
And
long life. It should be healthy.
and Ekadashi cakes and Ekadashi samosa and pakoda.
हो गया फिर तो.
Yes, Maushami Mata, you have a question or comment?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mata.
Prabhuji, I have heard that in Puris, in some areas you can't keep Ekadashi. What is the story behind this, Prabhuji? If you can share, Prabhuji.
Jagannath Puri is separate, different place. It's Vaikuntha actually. So Jagannath Puri, the way to achieve Krishna Prem, the way to get Krishna Prem is by eating Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasada. And not just by eating it, you fill it up to till the neck. So on Ekadashi, so Jagannathji got worried that they're not going to eat my prasad. What is this? So he tied up Ekadashi and kept her behind his temple. And there is a little temple of Ekadashi behind Jagannath's temple, and she is kept upside down, hanging upside down, because Jagannathji could do that. So the Pandas they don't observe Ekadashi because for them Jagannath Prasad is everything, and actually it is everything. There is nothing more than Jagannath Prasad, but this is for them. When we go there, we still observe Ekadashi. If in a trip Ekadashi happens to fall, we still observe.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I had this doubt that should we
You're
do it
welcome.
or not. Thank you.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinay.
One question, Prabhuji, on meat eating, which you just told, like that the cow and bulls are barred from eating its it creates havoc. What about one more thing you added, that in scriptures mentioned that some other meats are not barred. Can you put a little bit light on that?
No, see, any animal we kill to eat meat, we will get the reaction.
Yeah.
But the lower animals like goat and chicken, if somebody eats, he has to suffer for one lifetime. But for cows, one has to suffer for as many lifetimes as there are hair on the body of the cow. So that's the meaning. So
Because I
cow
believe,
is very, very special.
because Prabhuji, I believe ahimsa parmo dharam. So you shouldn't slaughter any animal at all, be it ant also.
Yeah, but see, Vedas are for everybody. Everybody is not going to follow this injunction. So that's why Shudras or less than Shudra, like here is mentioned, Malecha, Yavan, Chandal, you cannot stop them from meat eating. So that's why some injunctions are there. Okay, don't stop, but at least follow something. So gradually, it's for the gradual progression of everybody. That injunction is not for you. You could be on a higher level already. If you are in 12th grade, you don't have to follow the first grade teachings. That's not for you. But those who are not in, those who are in nursery or elementary school, let them come to the first grade. Then slowly let them progress slowly.
Yeah.
So that's how the teachings are there.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And actually, since you brought up this point of ahimsa paramo dharma, what is the meaning of ahimsa? Do not kill anybody, right?
Yeah.
So now you go in a higher sense. Now you graduate from 12th grade, you go to college, postgraduate, PhD. By not letting a soul perform its constitutional duty, that is hinsa, that is violence. So if we are not, basically, if we are not preaching and making people come to the level of understanding what is a constitutional duty, that is hinsa. So we have to preach. Then we are really doing ahimsa.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
So now you come to the level of soul. Don't remain at the body level.
Yeah.
So that is real Parama Dharma. That is so Param Dharma is when we engage everybody in their original dharma of serving Krishna. So anyway, this is just a food for thought for today. Hare Krishna.
Oh,
Jai Srila
thank you,
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Prabhuji. Done with the
Thank you,